If you've ever wanted to get into the education space, but you see the stuff people are doing on social media and it all just feels kind of fake to you, and you don't want to have to be like them in order to succeed, then I have good news for you today, because that stuff really has nothing to do with sharing your voice. A lot of people get caught up on social media and sort of make everything about them instead of it being about the client and changing the world and solving a real problem for people. You've probably seen people on social media and you're like, what the hell does this person even do? And they're really just on there to brag about themselves and tell you everything about their life and how awesome it apparently is and what they're doing every 10 seconds. And I think that is getting confused with the education space. Like the word influencer, I mean, that can mean anything. That can just mean somebody who just shares about themselves and gets a big following and then sells pre-workout with a discount code, and then they're an influencer or whatever. And then that term influencer kind of overlaps with like thought leader or educator or coach. But just like with any other industry, there is a very mixed bag of types of people all within there. And one is not like the other. Like somebody who sits and writes books all day is not the same person as somebody who documents every 10 seconds of their life, trying to get more followers and be cool. And so for you, you get to pick what you want to do. And there's plenty of people who are wildly successful without even being on social media. Like I am primarily focused on my podcast, and I have been for years. And that is where I still get most of the clients that work with me, is they come off of the podcast. You know, the show gets 1,000 downloads per episode. It's something that I've worked on building up for years. And I do take the video and put it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all that as a repurposing strategy. But I have my assistant do that for me. And I don't spend time focusing on all those other platforms. This is all about the podcast. And it's kind of, I don't think it's a coincidence that the podcast has done the best for me, and that it's also my favorite thing to do. And it's the easiest thing for me, is just to sit down and record a piece of audio that adds value to people. Because I think that people pick up on that, and they sort of gravitate towards the, if they're going to listen to somebody, then it needs to feel authentic and natural, and not forced. My second favorite form of content creation is writing, and I've written and published a book, working on the second one now. And really that's been my second best source of leads for my coaching business. The book has sold thousands of copies, and lots of people reached out to me. The book's actually about real estate, because that's what I coached on for years before I started helping other coaches. And it's funny, I've tried all this other stuff. I've been sucked in by the promises of all these different other marketing channels, and I've tried to make them work, and other people make them work really, really well. But I wasn't able to sustain them and show up on those platforms and, do what it took to be successful on those platforms, because it just didn't really fit with my personality. It didn't fit with what I like doing on a daily basis. Yet the things that do fit best with me, which is recording a podcast episode or writing a blog post, writing a book, those have been my best marketing channels to grow my business. Even though some would say like those are not the best channels you could use, right? Like Instagram or Facebook groups, are way hotter of a platform than writing books or podcasting. That what I'm here to tell you is that is not the right way to look at it. And that's what I thought, though, for a long time. I thought you should just do whatever the meta is, whatever the best thing is that most other people are having success with. Just model other people, jump on the bandwagon, and you will get success. But what I didn't realize is that success comes with doing something consistently over time with enthusiasm. And so you're not going to do something consistently if you don't enjoy it. You're not going to do it for the long haul, meaning over time, if you don't enjoy it. And you're definitely not going to do something with enthusiasm if it feels fake and if it feels forced. So for those of you who have a message to share that you want to put out into the world, just know that not only can you choose whatever platform it is that resonates the most with you and make that one work, but choosing that right platform, in my opinion, is essential to your success. So it's not just that you get to, it's that you really need to, because that's the thing you're going to be able to do consistently over time with enthusiasm. Another good thing about getting clear on the way you want to share your voice with the world is that it helps you to learn where you should get some coaching or buy a program. So instead of just buying some program that says, I will get you to $10,000 a month, and then they teach you to do something you didn't want to do, you can get really clear and say, I want to be an author, or I want to be a YouTuber, or whatever it is. And then you can simply go buy a program that is really good and honed in on that one specific skill, how to grow your YouTube platform. And then all your focus goes to that thing. That's not really the point. The focus piece is not really the point of this episode, but I will say that one of the biggest mistakes I made getting into the industry was just looking at all the different platforms and getting shiny object syndrome and thinking that I needed to be on all of them. And when I woke up every day and I had to log in and check all these different places where I had an account or a platform and I was posting content and thinking I had to like other people's stuff and message them and comment and share stories, and it basically spread all my efforts really thin. And so everything grew in just these tiny little increments instead of picking one platform that I like doing and putting everything into that. That's what I wish I would have done if I could go back in time. I wish I would have really gone all in on my podcast, and I think it would probably be 10 or 20 times bigger than it is today, just in terms of audience. But I didn't, I liked doing it and I made the content for it, but then I repurposed it everywhere and tried to show up everywhere as well. And so I never once bought a course on how to make the podcast great or anything. Not until recently, actually. And I wish I would have gone back and focused too, because that's another thing that plays into this conversation we're having about why you should choose your authentic platform. Well, you also should choose one platform too. And so you damn well better make sure you choose the one that you love. And it doesn't have to be on the internet. Again, it could be writing a book. Of course, you would use the internet to sell your book, and that's a different story. But you need to decide how you're going to share your voice. And what I like to do is think about a day in the life of you running your business. And so you wake up, you drink your coffee, and you read and do your little morning routine or whatever it is. And then you sit down and you're like, all right, I'm going to get to work, and today I'm going to create. Well, what would excite you? What would you want to create? What would you see on your schedule or your list for that day and feel drawn towards it and be given energy from it? Then whatever that is going to give you a lot of clues as to what your platform might be. The first kind of leg of the decision is actually format. Before we think about, where you're going to publish it, the first stop is in choosing a format. So when you're imagining your ideal day and you've got this stuff in your head and you just want to share it with people, do you see yourself talking into a microphone like this one? Do you see yourself sitting at the keyboard and writing into a word processor? Or do you see yourself behind a camera talking, being on video? Obviously, if you're watching this on video somewhere, then, I'm doing both, but it's really a audio focused effort. I decided to add the camera piece in. But, if I had to just choose one thing, it would be audio for me. And I do like writing, so that's sort of like a secondary thing. It doesn't have to be just one format. But what's the main one for you? If you had to pick just one, what would that be? What format could you see yourself doing? I have a client that loves to turn on his video and talk to his Facebook group. I have a client who loves to write posts on her personal Facebook profile. All different types. I have one who actually likes podcasting and audio like I do. So what is that for you? That's the first question to answer. And then when you have the answer to that, then you can say, well, what platforms out there exist that are a good fit for my format and also a place where my customer hangs out, where my ideal client, the person I want to help the most, hangs out. And if you do not know who your ideal client is, if you don't know what you create for them, then you will want to go back and refer to previous episodes where I talk about those things, because without clarity on who you serve or what you do for them, jumping to this platform decision is a bit premature. In some ways, it does play in, like there's like John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire. He decided his main thing was like, I'm going to start a daily podcast that interviews successful entrepreneurs and serves, that type of person. So he kind of knew he wanted to do a podcast, and his platform and format did play into his overall decision. So it's okay that we're talking about this, but if you're not clear on who the person is or what you're going to provide for them, then that is one of the most common areas that I see people getting hung up on when they get into this space. So you will need to get clear on that. Okay. And so just remember, guys, that success comes with consistency over time and with enthusiasm for what you do. And the truth is the only way you're going to be able to pull that off is by making the right choice. It's really no different than anything else. Like if you wanted to have the best relationship in the world, then, you could try everything to try and make it better. And you could try to show up and say something nice every day and do it over time and do it with enthusiasm. And you could force yourself to do all those things. But wouldn't it be easier to just select the right partner so that it didn't feel forced and it felt natural and all of it just flowed? Well, just in the same way, selecting the right platform and the right format of content that will go on there is pivotal to your success in this business. I hope that helps, guys. I appreciate you listening, and I would love to offer you a free gift in exchange for a small favor. If you are getting value from this podcast, if you could just smash the review button and leave me a review wherever it is you're listening to podcasts, and just shoot me a screenshot of that to my email, brian@brianellwood.net. I will give you a free copy of the new mini course that I just finished called the Expert Business Blueprint, which walks you through all of the steps to setting up your business: the avatar, the outcome, the product, the platform decision, delivery, the whole shebang. Because one thing that coaches often get really hung up on is, what am I missing? What do I do next? What's the next domino, and the next one, and the next one? What am I missing? And so I put together this course to once and for all explain the blueprint to doing this business the right way. Just in the same way, it's as clear as like if you were assembling a piece of furniture. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, really specific, all in a mini course ready for you to consume. All I'm asking in exchange for the course is you just write me a quick review on this show and then screenshot it and shoot it to my email, brian@brianellwood.net. I'll put all that down in the show notes for you. And thank you guys for listening. I'll see you on the other side. Peace.